Okay. So Jamie, I want to also ask you about your experiences helping ex-offenders with the process of sealing uh, their background, sealing it or expunging it from the record. I understand. I understand. Um, Let me ask you a different question. Where you worked, did employers come to your facility to interview and to help facilitate hiring? I see. I understand. I understand. Yes, we also work with sex offenders, and I'm sure anyone who works with sex offenders in this country or anywhere in this country who works with sex offenders, that you know how difficult it is to find jobs for them. It's very difficult. Um, we found a magic solution. Uh, we found that some fast food restaurants did not do background checks. And that sounds kind of sneaky, but I'm talking about a couple clients, specific clients that were excellent workers, excellent communicators, excellent responsible people. And I felt confident in my gut that if they were hired, they would do a good job. And they did. They did do a very good job. Yeah. And I forget what state you live in. I live in Illinois. And in Illinois, they just passed a law that you can smoke marijuana. So it makes the situation very confusing for us. Our agency, my agency where I worked, my job, um, had a very strict requirement that you could not smoke marijuana and come to our agency asking for help looking for work. You have to pick one or the other. If you're going to smoke marijuana, then you cannot come to Goodwill. But now, Illinois passed a new law that it's okay to smoke marijuana. So, what do the employers do? How do they screen? Yes, because well, employers have the right to do surprise testing. If an employee has an accident on the job while he's working, or an employer, a boss, suspects that he smells alcohol, or he suspects that the employee is high, he can do a surprise test. Because I believe all over the country, including Illinois, you can't work on a job and drink or smoke marijuana. I want to change the subject if you don't mind, because we only have a few minutes left. And I want to tell you my biggest frustration. Can I do that? I worked with the deaf, and I remember two clients. Of course, I can't tell their name. I'm going to keep their confidentiality, but I will just explain it as a general situation. But they were sex offenders, and they explained to me that they were framed, that they weren't guilty, that they were innocent, and they really convinced me. I felt that they were telling the truth, and they thought they were innocent. And the only conclusion, the result of my thinking, was that they either didn't have an interpreter or they had a bad interpreter. And I felt awful because the rest of their life, their opportunities were limited. Yeah, they were proven guilty. It was on their record. Uh, but when you talk to them, feel 100% that they're innocent. And one person blamed the interpreter. Yes, I agree. In Illinois, we have some very good interpreters that are qualified for court interpreting. But so an interpreter needs to make sure that the whole process went well. And if they have a feeling that they're not sure if they're doing a good job, they ought to give the assignment to another interpreter. There needs to be some safety inside the process just to make sure that the client gets a fair trial. There needs to be some safety uh, precautions in the process just to double and triple make sure that the interpreter was correct. Yes. And just one more minute. Most most of the jobs, all the jobs I got clients were low level, entry level jobs, and they felt very grateful to work. My clients understand the limitations of their opportunities, and so they were very grateful to get an entry level job. And I just felt a responsibility to do everything I can to help them get that job because it's not a great job, but for them, it was a great opportunity. So I'm very, very grateful that I was successful at placing them in some jobs. Yeah, you made a great point. I agree with you 1000%. That first job gives them an opportunity to develop confidence, and then they can they can move on to other jobs and develop their own work history on their own. Yeah, good point. I agree with you. Yeah, let's see. I see you next Friday, probably. All right. Thank you for this opportunity. It's nice